How you doing, guys? Devilion here again, bringing you what is probably going to be the first of a lot of diamond level games. As you can see, it's the Protoss of Umpire versus the Terran of Duanyang, or however you say that. Like I said, this is the first diamond level game I have on my channel. Hopefully it won't be the last. I do have another 3 more. Let's just speed up the beginning here, because we all know what's going to be happening at the beginning. Usual build, SCVs, barracks, supply depot, early scout, gateways, pylons. So, the usual, nothing going on. I wouldn't normally speed this up, but it's a 40-minute long game. And I don't really want to have to cut this into 2 parts. So we're going to try and keep it under 15 minutes. Though nothing actually happens here for a while anyway. Just a little bit of running around the mineral line. As you can see, he has a barracks up with a tech lab. So we may see a Reaper, we may not. I do believe he makes 1 and goes for a little bit of harassment around here, but I don't think he gets away with it too well. As you can see, he is upgrading to his warp gates. And there goes the Reaper. Gonna go for a little bit of Reaper harassment around his mineral line if he can, but 2 stalkers are out after him, so not looking too good. Doesn't have the upgraded movement speed, so easily picked off by those stalkers there. Warping in some more stalkers. Has 2 gateways obviously, and a robotics facility with an observer out. Up comes another gateway. Pretty well saturated mineral line, 29 probes to 22 SCVs. Though he does have a mule out, so go Terran. As you see, he's massing a few marines and a few marauders with an expansion now. Both bunkers now go down, having to move the expansion now. Nicely placed shield there, stops the tank from coming down and attacking his forces directly. Puts up another one so he can't get out after the first one's down. Manages to pull back, suffering a few losses, but preventing the expansion for the time being, which is always a good thing. Leaving the observer there, you can see everything's going on. As you can see everything's going on at the front of that guy's base. Always a good thing to be able to do. Now the Terran player is going to siege up the entrance to his base, so you can continue mining. Protoss player, on the other hand, has expanded also, but is now starting to build a warp prism. I do believe he has an immortal out already. Yes, he does. He has 1 immortal. Builds a gateway and a forge. Has a Twilight Council with the upgrade for the Zealot charge. Both economies looking fairly sound at this point. Not much to say really. A little bit of scouting there by the Protoss player. I was thinking about making a push and then decided against it, which is a good thing because the Terran player is moving out with his siege tanks, building bunkers as he goes, so essentially taking over the centre of the map. And on a small map like this, that's always an advantage. As you can see, 47 probes to 35 SCVs. He is moving slowly forwards with those bunkers, so the Protoss player is going to have to do something about that, but at this point I don't think he even knows it's there. Well-timed scan goes in, takes down a pylon with 2 siege tanks. Now the Protoss player actually knows there is something there, so he needs to go and deal with this. But unfortunately he runs into 4 or 5 siege tanks and manages to take down 1 bunker before he's forced to retreat, using the shields to good effect there. So he has to pull back. Now I did miss something in his base, so let's go back. Now as you can see, he is warping in a lot more units for the warp prism, as the Terran player is fortifying the centre of the map. So let's speed up until he actually goes to attack the base. In he comes. Drops straight down into the mineral line, dealing some hefty damage to all of those drones that are running around, or the SCVs, as they pull back to the expansion team. This command center will go down unless he lifts it off, but it's too late now, it's completely gone. While that's happening, the Terran player is pushing into the Protoss player's base, looks like he's going to lose his expansion unless he can do something to fight back, and at this point all his zealots are just running around. Now he is calling them back, but it is a bit too late. The Terran player is in the main of the Protoss player now, taking down those gateways and the Twilight Council. So the Protoss player needs to do something drastic to pull us back. Stims those Marines and Marauders, but mass zealots come in and take down siege tanks and the Marines and Marauders. So he managed to save his main, but took heavy losses in the process. So one expansion down for the Protoss player, and the main command center for the Terran player is down, as the Protoss player now makes an advance on his base, only to be pushed back by the two barracks. The Terran player still has a fortified bunker in the middle of the map, and at this point it's just a case of rebuild everything you can, leaving the Overseer in the middle of the base so he can see the expansion. Protoss player is taking out the bunker in the middle of the map there. Now it's at this point we're probably going to see some Colossus, and there we go. The Protoss player opting to go for Colossus rather than air units. He is now researching the extended thermal lance. Terran player tried to make a drop there, but didn't quite manage it, and then lost 5 Marines in the process, along with a medevac. The blue player has dropped off there to repair up, but quickly decides to get out of there because there's no way he's going to be able to win that, though he has expanded now to the gold minerals. Some more harassment by the Protoss player from that warp prism will be easily countered though. So the Protoss player now trying to build up some forces along with the Terran player. Seems to be going a very tank heavy build. It's always good if you want to play defensively, because as you've seen, he moves his defensive line forward and fortifies as he goes. Though now those Colossus and Stalkers have now moved into the middle of the map and are in a good position to take on the Terran player. Terran player only defending with 2 siege tanks. Not a good move there, managed to take out a few units there with a couple of shots. Though we'll move in on the expansion of the Terran player and take down his high yield expansion. Tried to get a planetary fortress but didn't quite manage it in time. So the high yield denied to the Terran player, whilst the second expansion for the Protoss player is now starting to be used. As you can see, he has now put up a sensor tower, making movement a little more tricky for the Protoss player, but nothing I don't think he can handle. Hasn't rebuilt those warp gates, though at this point he seems to be going for more of a Colossus heavy build, so not too much of a problem there. Does have plenty of Stalkers and Zealots at this moment. Going to be skirting around the outside of his sensor tower to see if there's any way in. Just checking to see if he has the gold expansion, which he doesn't. Moves around the outside as the Terran player moves in his siege tanks. And as we see, nice confrontation in the middle here. Protoss player managing to take out a fair few units using those extended thermal lances, but Matt needs to pull back. Lost all of his Zealots and Stalkers there, though the Terran player did lose a couple of bunkers and about 4 siege tanks, along with some Marines and Marauders. So fairly even at this point. We do see 2 Phoenix in for the Protoss player as he warps in some more Zealots. Let's speed things up again. Not much happening at the moment. Another sensor tower goes down for the Terran player, so now he has coverage of the expansion of the Protoss player. Warp prism warping in some more Zealots, and then off he goes. Off to do some more annoyances. The expansion now being fully utilised in both areas. The Terran player has now taken back the gold expansion and has completely fortified the centre of the map, so unless the Terran player can do something about this, it's pretty much, as you can see, the Colossus just using the advantage there of the light of the sight to be able to take out a lot of the defensive line. The sensor tower goes down along with the anti-air and the Marines. Siege tanks can't shoot because they couldn't see them, but now they can. again lost all of his Stalkers and Zealots. Some hefty damage to those Colossus as well. Several of them almost dead. Needs to do something about all those siege tanks. There are just too many.